Alright guys, so one of the biggest comments people do in the channel is asking about what gear to give to your champions. So I'm gonna try to cover that today in the channel. A lot of this gonna be for new players. It's gonna have to do with new accounts, and I'll try to cover early, mid, and late game. Okay? So let's get to it. What's up guys, it's your boy Russian with another Raid Shadow Legends video. So let's talk about gear a little bit. It's something that is a lot of times confusing. If you guys see on the channel, I may have a gear and a champion and you may think that's the right gear for them, and sometimes it's not, okay? So I'll try to cover that as best as I can, the easiest way I can, the simplest way I can. So let's get to it right now. So one of the main things is, there are three types of gear, the way I see. One of them is the gear you want and should have in your champion. There is the, well, that's all I have. And the third one is situational gear, okay? If you're looking for a sign to get a fresh start in Raid and become a part of my squad, this is it. Click my link in the description and get a free Karato as well as 3 more epics as you level up. Here's how to do it. Log out of Plarium Play on PC and uninstall. Click the link in the description and register with a brand new email, launch Raid and complete the tutorial. Go to your inbox and claim your first champion. This is your chance to get Karato for free as well as Anax, Uugo and Mausoleum Mage as you progress your account in Raid. So click on my link right now and claim them. So first of all is the gear you want in your channel. In your champion. Like, let's talk about Alice right now. She has speed gear and she has savage gear, okay? That would be, in my opinion, one of the best gears for her. Sure, speed gear could be changed to lethal or some of those other types of gear, okay, that give you attack percentage and crit rate percentage. But in this case, because that's what I have, speed, not a bad thing for her, okay? But she doesn't have the perfect gear. Now, when you look at an early game, for example, you probably want to have gloves being crit rate, and it's mostly because the gear you have on top and even some of the other pieces in the bottom may not have the stats you need to be able to get 100% crit rate. Because gloves, what you probably want to have, and it's usually by mid game, even if you're lucky enough to have by early game, it is crit damage. You want to optimize your crit damage the most if you have savage gear, because you want to nuke your enemies as hard as you can, okay? So you can keep your friends alive. So in this case, crit rate, that's the best I have. Also on savage gear, not a bad thing. And I could actually raise my crit damage using other pieces, okay? So in this case, only 40%. This is a 4-star glove, okay? 6-star probably would allow me to make different choices on the other pieces, but it does give me about 104% crit rate for her. Now, in the other side is, I do have a 5-star attack, what is great. The problem is, you're looking in here common, okay? So I'm not actually being able to use many of the other stats, plus the stats that came in, you know, it's up to luck. Same thing with the boots. The boots are speed boots, 5-star, better if that was 6, but you take what you have in the most early game. Now, if I was building her in my other accounts, in my main account, I probably would have, like I said, crit damage, use crit rate using the top ones, maybe a little bit from the boots or chest, but basically try to build as much crit damage as I could, as long as I have 100% crit rate. So this would be the right type of. So I feel like Alice right now, she has half and a half. Like, she has half of the that's all I have and half of that's what I want, okay? It's not fully what I want, but early game right now, this account's level 47. That's probably all I can wish for. Also, on top of that, you come in here, crit damage. Now it's only 20% because it's a 3-star. As you guys know, Spider, early game gets very hard for you to be able to get the right pieces. Also, it takes a long time for you to get all the right pieces for all the right champions. Alright, so let's take a look in another champion, Senna Amberheart. Alright, so Senna, for example, I have her in Stalwart Gear and on life sets, right? Now, a lot of times you're gonna see, you may think like that's the best choice for her. Understand this, Stalwart Gear, not a bad choice because she's a reviver, so if she's actually getting less damage from AoE in the most when we're looking at the Demon Lord, Dragon, and some of the other bosses, that's not too bad. But again, as you guys look down here, I have the same issue where I do have a 6-star, but it's still a common piece of gear, okay? Would I want life set? Look, life set after a very early game, it's just not worth it. But in this case, I don't have another piece. I actually had her before in Immortal Gear, what probably would be a lot better than life. But the difference is I had 3 stars, so her HP was kind of way too low for me to survive some of the smackdowns from Demon Lord and some other areas of the game, and therefore I chose not to get a little bit of extra heals. Even I know she brings heals, but as you guys know, she's not really booked. So in this situation, I had to choose different types of gear. Now I could put any mismatched set in here just to up, but in a sense was better for me to just run Nightmare a couple of times until I got HP percent 5 or above and 5 stars or above, and be able to put her on a set. Okay, now sure, because you guys have to remember, the faster she's able to get turns, the faster she can use her heals and revive. So speed set definitely for her, and also getting a 30% less damage take from AoEs, it's gonna help a lot. Now, is this the set I want? No, I would rather have her on regen gear, even knowing that she can heal herself, but she will have turns that she's not healing, even if I had her booked up. So I feel regen gear probably the best for her, also immortal, so I keep her alive for the longest. But Stalwart Gear, not the worst for her. Now we're gonna be getting to some of the other ones. Like for example, now I have Karato, right? Karato, for example, he is in fairly decent gear. Look at this, lifesteal, speed, even not the best pieces, 4 stars, but pretty decent. What is allowing me to actually progress on Nightmare right now. But one thing you guys have to remember, at this point, because I do have Senna, and that's where you guys have to look at where you are. A lot of times the gear you're gonna choose gonna have to do with who you pair your champions with. Like for example, Karato on this gear is not as necessary unless I'm trying to solo some content in the game. And there are many reasons why you may want solo, okay? So for example, right here, lifesteal, it's been great because the stats may not be the best, but they're also not the worst. I'm being able to get him enough speed, even it's barely 173 speed right now, okay? His attack percentage, I would love to be higher, but I don't have the pieces for that, okay? I would love to be able to get some crit damage on him, but also same situation, okay? I cannot get unless I'm able to get his ascension higher and be able to actually farm Spider. So in this case, for example, I do have good gear for early game, but I probably would want him to be able to have a complete different set for a couple of reasons. So if you guys look in here, one of the main things about Karato is that he can block active skills. Now to do that, I need to be able to hit the debuffs, what means my accuracy has to be higher. So in this situation, for example, if I choose not to use him as a nuker, I would have to actually apply on perception gear, accuracy gear, and get this done. Also because I can get other champions stunned. So a lot of times, and that's where he falls a little bit on the right gear, but dependent. Because right now with Senna, I don't have to worry so much about him healing himself. So if I can keep him longer alive and being able to use his special skills, this would be a better fit for him, right? And most parry with Alice. So Alice would be the main nuke. Karato would still cause damage, still keep him at 100%. So in this case, I would probably keep him with crit rate gloves, Okay, so I'm not worrying so much about his nukes. Okay, I'm not worrying about how much crit damage he's doing. Sure, try to keep it up, but don't need to max this thing out. But have his crit rate up and also fill up with accuracy on those other pieces. Okay, as much accuracy I could, as long as I have 100% or even close to 100. I don't need to make 100, not depending on him for that. Okay, also keep his speed really high because Karato has multiple attacks in his A1, hits 3 times, helps with boost his turn meter. So against champions like the Demon Lord, it would be best for me to be fast, even if I'm not hitting anything with his accuracy. So that's where I'm talking about dependent. If I decide to, I have champions doing all the other areas of the game, so Karato goes a little bit in the sidelines, I still could use him against a Demon Lord, just put him full flat speed gear, even if I don't worry about crit rate, and just make him as fast as I can. So, and that becomes where it's dependent. Like if you're using a champion for a certain dungeon or a certain area of the game, you may have to completely change his gear. I had a few champions in the Hell Hades challenge where they're great nukers, but I already had nukers. What I needed was someone that could hit really fast, really hard, and that's where I would make those choices. Now, for example, you may find yourself in a bad situation. Like Vayne, for example, yes, she has life steal and she has speed, okay? Now, I have her crit rate up because she actually hits fairly hard, and I have her HP instead of attack. Now, as you guys see, she's an attack champion, but she's very squishy, okay? So I am still causing attack. Again, she's not my main nuker, okay? What I'm trying to do is cause attack on her and get her fast. Now, if you guys notice, there's a big problem with her set, and it's something I'm gonna change. So I put her in this set mostly because of faction wars, okay? But her accuracy is 0. What means that the best thing about Vayne, as I told, she's gonna be replacing Kael, is she will never be able to land her poison and decrease attack and her decrease defense and weaken. Okay, at 0%, at 0 accuracy, she just has like 0.1% chance to hit any of those. So what gear would I put on her? Definitely not lifesteal, because I don't need her to keep herself alive, like in Faction Wars. Speed and perception or accuracy gear, something I'm gonna be working on, but that's basically what you want. Now, one hard choice that you guys are gonna have early game is I would love to have accuracy chest, but if I choose to have accuracy chest, I need to make sure I also have enough HP percentage in the other pieces. So kind of, and also because I have another nuker, I may not need the crit. So I could actually put accuracy in the chest and put HP on the gloves. Not worry about anything to do with hitting hard, but worry about her landing her poisons and debuffs. So that's what I mean, like a lot of those things are situational, is because if you already have your for like clan boss team, you need to be looking what you need the other champions to be doing. In this case, Vayne, I need her, I don't care about how hard she hits, I care about how many poisons she can put on the clan boss, and debuffs as well. So I know it sounds kind of like strange to say, because if you guys go, a great source of information, if you guys go to Hell Hades website, they have a list of the best gear for each champion. Now, you guys have to always get this with a grain of salt, because depending on the situations, you may use a complete different set. Like, let me talk about Templar, for example. All right, so Templar, for example, he can actually solo a few areas of the game. He can solo Bomo, he can solo Scarab King, but to do that, in a most without a healer, you would put him in regen gear. What is kind of niche, because for the most part, he doesn't need that type of gear. It's not a gear he will use in the best situations, right? But if you use him to solo certain areas that you may be having issues, he may need a special type of gear, okay? And that's where it becomes situational. Not the best gear for him, but the best gear for the situation you're at. And that's what you guys have to really think about, is when you're building your teams, it can be for clan boss, can be for Doom Tower, is do I need another damage dealer, or it's better for me to use his debuffs or her debuffs to be able to allow me to pass through this area. Okay, so yeah guys, that's pretty much it. I know it's kind of, I feel gear is very complicated to explain because there's so many different situations where you're gonna pick a different type of gear. Like if I didn't have Senna, probably I would try to get most of my champions on lifesteal, what is one of the best gears for early game. The only difference for me is because the champions I was able to pull, or champions I was able to get from my link code, it became a situation to where I am playing early game, but I have to play like I was mid game. It's very different. Like I said, a lot of situations can dictate different. Discard, for example, he can't wait to get out of this. He's not in the vault, but he's kind of like on hold right now. Discard, one of the best champions, but I have to focus on Feint first to go up, and then probably discard to be able to replace Karato or a different champion. And most because discard will give me improved attack, increase attack, and increase defense of my champions. What gonna probably keep me alive for longer. Also, he has shield. Also has provoke for mobs. So big changes. But still gonna take a couple of weeks, maybe a couple of days if I'm lucky. Alright guys, so that's about it. I hope it helped some of you guys. I hope I didn't complicate how you guys look at gear. Yeah, let me know in the comments if you guys have any other questions, anything you want me to cover in the channel. I appreciate you being here, and as always, I'll see you in the game.